Good, man.
Good evening, everyone. We're live in the pits of Metal Chaos. This is Dave, and I got along with bassist Bryan of Anger is Art. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
So what's going on with Anger is Art these days, buddy?
Man, we are rehearsing. We got a big show coming up with Deceased and Blood Feast here in a few weeks, and so we're getting ready for that. Trying to get whenever you're playing with Deceased or Blood Feast for that matter, you got to make sure you bring your A games. We're trying to get as blistering as we can to make it happen.
Yeah, you guys are going to be playing Spring Bash again next year, right?
Absolutely, man. I cannot wait for that one. We were there a few years back, and it's one of the best shows we've ever played.
Yeah, you guys headlined on Thursday, right?
Yeah. We were out there, and we did an Anger set, and I think we either closed with or we included Screams from the Grave, too, and that one went over pretty good.
Oh, Abattoir.
Yeah.
So was it pretty crowded on Thursday?
Yeah, it was a good turnout. It's a nice, diverse bill. Randy puts together a hell of a fest. And so we got to be on the same night with November's Doom, which is a band that I don't know if they get out of California, so it was great to be playing with them and then getting to see the other bands on the bills as well. Got in there on a Thursday. We never know what to expect, especially on a Thursday, but Randy delivered. The crowd was solid, and it was a hell of a night, man. It was a good one.
Yeah. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. When are you coming out here? I want to see what...
Spring Bash.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll be out for the Spring Bash.
Okay, I'll see you at Spring Bash. I gotta go. Have a nice interview.
All right.
Any plans to come to Chicago at all?
We don't have anything currently planned, but I know that we want to get everywhere, man. If Chicago is half as supportive as Wisconsin has been to us, I know we'd love to get out there and play for the people out there, too.
Now, are you guys working on new material?
Yeah, we're in the writing stage right now. I know Steve's got a few kickers in there that he's been sending around, and I've got a few as well. I'm sure Dan is working on some stuff, too. So, Ad Mortem Festinamus is actually the first album I ever recorded on, so that was a huge thing for me. And so we're trying to get in there and see if we can top that one, because I know that we were all very proud of how that turned out. So these new ones, we're sitting down with them for a long time, making sure we got them just right,
Yeah, so do you know how many songs you guys will probably put on a new disc?
Say again, sorry?
Do you know how many songs you guys are looking to put on a new album?
We don't have a number right now. I know that 12 or 13 is about right there in the pocket, You don't want to overstay your welcome, but you want to offer variety. I think we had a lot of variety on the last album, so I'm excited about extending that as well, trying to see what we can do that's still Anger is Art, but seeing how we can push our boundaries, too, and push our limits as far as what we can do, what we want to do, and then hopefully if we get to some point saying, that shit doesn't work, and trying to stop it from there. But it's going to be a good one.
Still going to be thrashing it out, though, right?
Oh, yeah, man. If it's not thrash, it's not Anger is Art.
So you guys think you go even heavier?
Yeah, I think so. I know that Steve and I, when we sit down to write, I think we sort of surround ourselves with not necessarily bands. This is more speaking for myself, I guess, but not bands that you want to sound like necessarily, but trying to understand the energy or the sort of creativity that goes into what makes a good song from a band that you like their intensity or whatever, and seeing what you can do to sort of funnel that into your own writing. You never want to rip anyone off, but you want to see like, oh man, I really like that. Like for me, for instance, like I'm a big fan of Impales. I'll be listening to Impales, like, oh man, like they've got a groove here. They've got like really tight rhythm sections. That'd be great to see if we could capture some of that energy for an Anger's Art song, and then tool it out, make sure we got the right atmosphere, make sure we got the right attitude to keep it Anger's Art, but keep it open and see what we can do with it to expand what we're doing.
Right. So the song "Pissing on Your Grave," who wrote that one?
Oh, that was a Steve joint. He had that one. If you actually listen, I know that he spent quite some time on the picking patterns of that one. That was like kind of the push for that one, is trying to see how intense we could make that. And so when Steve got that one down, he came to us with it, and I'm lucky, I'm the bass player. I don't have to pick as crazy as them. But we got that out there, and then we were actually we're fortunate enough to have a good fan base here in LA. And when you listen to, I think it's the last chorus in the song when Dan's soloing, we've actually got like an entire audience of people screaming the group yells out for the chorus, which I think was really effective and was definitely an honor for me to have all of our friends participating like that. So, yeah, that was pissing.
That's cool. So you want to take a break and play that song right now?
Yeah, man, go for it.
All right. Here's Pissing on Your Grave, everyone, so hope you dig it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're back live on the air with Bryan, bassist of Anger Is Art. We just listened to Pissing on Your Grave. Hope you all fucking enjoyed that song.
Yeah, man, that's a great one live too. So people coming out to Spring Bash maybe get to hear that one.
Yeah, that's the song you play when you get someone that died, you fucking hate it, you go piss on their fucking grave, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, the guys in Angers still aren't allowed near California cemeteries because of it. We got a lot of people where have no problem taking a leak on their grave.
So, Eric, when did you start playing bass guitar?
I started playing bass around 13, so that was about 17 years ago. Yeah, man, it was actually my brother's left-handed, and he had asked my parents for a guitar, and you buy a left-handed guitar, and it really is more expensive, and so he ended up not playing it. He's still an excellent trumpet player, but so when he stopped playing guitar, I knew that there was no way in hell I was getting a guitar. And quite frankly speaking, I loved Black Sabbath and Metallica at the time. I didn't even know what a bass guitar was, really. I just knew I wanted to play, and if I said something different, there's a good likelihood I might actually get that. And so I said, the bass guitar, and then I sat down and started learning, the basics, Black Sabbath, Metallica, and whatnot, and still here, man.
Yes. So what other bands have you been in prior to Angers Art?
Well, my first band was with my best friend Brett and my friends, Bryan and Chris. We played in a band called Necroscope around the Riverside, California area for a while, sort of like a straight-up thrash band. And then Necroscope, we parted ways, and then we formed a band called Abstract Prayer that was kind of like a proggy thrash band. And then it was actually during those years with Necroscope that I first met Steve. We were playing a small place out in San Bernardino, and he came on and we did a cover of Children of the Grave because I'd heard Angers Art live and I was a big fan of them. He came out and did a song with kind of what kept the connection with him and I, and through the various Angers Art lineups, kept us in contact. And when their previous bass player Henry had to leave, they were looking for a guy. They gave me a call, and I was honored. I got like a little bit of the Ripper Owens thing, grow up listening to the band, get to be in the band. I just hope Henry doesn't come back and they decide, we need Henry more.
Yeah. So when you first started playing bass, were you self-taught or you took lessons?
Self-taught. Yeah, I volunteered for like the my old middle school's jazz band, and so that was the only real training I had. But the rest of it was just trying to figure out what sounded good. And it kind of made my playing and writing, I think, a little bit sideways, because I never really understood, or it took me much longer to understand the basics of music. I just knew what I liked. And so it was, I'm fortunate, I think, as a metal bass player, because all I really can play is metal. It's all I really know.
Yeah.
But pretty much self-taught.
So how many bass guitars do you currently own?
I currently have two. I've got my ESP Viper, and that one I've had since I was about 16. And then I've got a Fender Blacktop that's my go-to for live gigs, for studio, what have you. I really like the thickness of that one. But one of these days I'm going to save up enough cash and finally pick up a Rick, because that's that would be my bass choice.
So what kind of cabinet do you play out of?
Hartke. Pretty basic. My sound, I'm a big fan of Overkill and the sort of way that Dee Verney sort of cuts through with his real clangy bass tone, and so I try to work from that as my basic work. And I think the best bass sound is somewhere between like a bulldog growling and someone hitting an aluminum can with a hammer. Like, I think if you can get those two together, you got a good bass sound.
Right. So what bass players are inspirational to you?
Sure. Dee Verney was probably the first one that really leapt out at me. I grew up with listening to how Jason Newsted played and listening to how Geezer Butler played, and then you get into like the real gods of that with like Steve Harris and all those guys. But like Dee Verney is definitely up there. Peter Theobalds from Akerkanka is up there. Even though I could never hope to play like him, you got Tony Choi from Atheist is up there. And then of course, like Lemmy. I think Lemmy's an underrated bass player. He's an excellent lyricist, and he had a hell of a voice, but I think he doesn't really get pointed out as a great bass player all that often. And that guy had like a picking style, and he had an approach to how he's going to handle notes that I think not a lot of guys have. And that's something I really admire the more and more I play with
That's cool. So what was the first concert you ever went to?
First concert I went to, I believe, was Ozfest 2001, or maybe Ozfest 2000. It was around there. And I went, I think the only real bands of note that year were Down and Meshuggah. And then, it was cool to see Ozzy and stuff. But yeah, that was the first one. A lot of really shitty bands on that bill, too. So that taught me patience as far as when you're going to see a long bill, you may have to sit through the fucking Chevelles and whatnot of the world before you get the stuff you like.
Right. So what was the last show that Angers Are played?
Oh, man, what was that? I think, we were up in the Bay. We played at a Toots Tavern with Solanum, and I'm a dick, and I'm forgetting some of the other bands. But Solanum's one we played with before. We went up there, and I think Potential Threat was there the previous time we went. But yeah, I was up in the Bay Area of California. We went up there and played in Crockett, which is a small town kind of near Berkeley.
Do you guys have any other shows coming up at all?
The Deceased show coming up here in Santa Ana in November is the big one. Then we're going to, get sharp, keep working on some stuff. And then the only other one we have booked currently is actually the Spring Bash. So, that gives us plenty of time to get writing and making sure those songs are good.
Right. So on the 2016 release, the one you play on, what's your favorite song? You have a favorite song on there?
Yeah. It varies depending on how much we're rehearsing, getting the songs back in my bones, but I'm quite partial to Hammer Blade and Twisting Fire is one I like a lot. Unknowing Undead is always great. It's got that real sort of like immediate punch to it. And then I'm a big fan of Dim Carcosa. That was one that Steve wrote. It's not really a typical Angers Art song. It's a lot more melodic. It's a lot sort of more wider scoped. And there's a riff section at the end that when Steve first played the demos for that, it was kind of like a holy shit moment. It's like that got me into heavy metal in the first place. So getting to play bass on that was huge. So that's one I go back to pretty often.
Now, since you've been in this band, do you have a fondest memory so far?
Oh, man, that's got to be Puerto Rico. We went to Puerto Rico about 3.5 years ago, I think. It all kind of blends together. But we went out there, and we played with Hell Witch and Warbringer and Raven. How can I fucking forget Raven? And we went out there, and that was a hell of a night. Just to be able to get out there, fly through, across the country, get into Puerto Rico, and have people wanting to see us. Like, it's, a room in LA sometimes. People are kind of spoiled for choice. But, like, getting to be there and be a part of that and get to know the people over there that like us, that are part of that build up the Puerto Rican metal scene, it was fantastic, man. I proposed to my wife after we played that show, and the first person in the world I told that I was getting married was John Gallagher from Raven. That was a hell of a night.
Now when Angers Are played in Chicago at Ragnarok, were you in the band then?
I was not. No, that was that probably would have been Javier on bass at that point.
Yeah. The Ragnarok or Metal Apocalypse, which they don't have anymore. That fest ended.
Yeah.
So you
have something about that, yeah.
Yeah. So you have any funny or embarrassing moments with the band?
There was one night where I can't pinpoint exactly why. We were playing in Sacramento, and for some reason I thought it'd be a good idea. I was pretty new in the band, and I was just stoked to be out playing, where I kept hitting, I think, Rob's ride cymbal with my bass, like on purpose, as I was playing. And, like, afterwards, we're sort of looking at each other. I'm like, oh, what the fuck have I been doing all night, I may have been hitting, like, bad hits the entire goddamn set,
Yeah.
But that one, we're pretty, calm bunch of guys, so we don't have a lot of issues like that. But there was that one, and then we played New York once, and my bass was way too high in the mix. And so on one hand, I had to play really good, which was nice. But on the other, we sounded like that WFO album from Overkill, where the bass is way, way, way over the guitars, and it makes it hard to hear anything,
Yeah. So now, in your opinion, Eric, what are the pros and cons in the music business?
The pro is, as long as you come into it with a good head, you're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to get to do what you want to do, the way you want to do it, without having to compromise too much. The negative to that is you're going to likely pay out of pocket for most of it, you know. Sometimes you'll have a promoter who's really good, and they'll help you out, and they'll make sure that you're set up and taken care of. Other times you're going to show up to a place where advertisement hasn't happened. Maybe the headliner on the bill has fallen off, and you're eating every cent of that trip, which is hard, you know, because you work a day job to make sure you can do this, so it's not always easy to do. But, you know, you weigh the two things against each other, and for me, as long as I can still keep making music with my friends, get out there, get to meet people, and yell at strangers in a room for 30 minutes or so, I'm content, you know?
Now, you mentioned promoters. What do you think about the fucking promoters that do pay-per-play shows?
You know, I understand to some degree the logistics of that, you know? Like, especially, for instance, my old band, it was a huge honor in my old band. We got to open up for Sabbath when they did a small U.S. tour. And Sabbath's maybe my favorite band of all time. And there was a lot of pay-to-play to go with that. None of the Whiskey a Go-Go. And the Whiskey, they've got a reputation for their pay-to-play stuff. But I understand if you're going to promise a guarantee to a band that you want to make sure that they're able to be paid and that the venue's not eating everything. However, it gets insane. If you ask a band on a Tuesday night to sell 50 tickets at $25 each, and if they don't sell all of them, then you've got to pay out of pocket or not play, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
There are better ways to do that. Like, if you know, there's some venues around here where it's pay-to-play, or it's not pay-to-play, it's pre-sale tickets, but the number of tickets you sell just determines where you play in the night. You know, I think that's fair. If you're a band that's trying to get going, let's say you're a younger band and you just want to be out on the bigger stage opening for a band you like, if they say you got to sell 20 tickets if you want to get direct support or whatever, I think that's all right. I understand that. And if you don't sell all those tickets, you play earlier in the night. That's the way it goes. You hope that as you go, you put on a good show, and the next time you're higher up on the bill. I think that's all right. But anytime you make the band pay out of pocket, that's unethical. I don't like that.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
So how important is social media to the band?
I'm sorry, say that again?
How important is social media to Anger's Art?
You know, I think very, and I think we're sort of evolving in understanding just how important it is. Your ability to actively speak to people and sort of get around that whole thing that, you know, I'm pretty young, so like I got to come of age where I could email the Sodom website and get an answer back from Tom Angel Ripper, and that was the shit. When I was like 14, I was, oh my god, you know. But I think keeping that open line of communication makes that experience even more regular. You know, it means that it's not a crazy thing to say that I can go and bull with King Fowley or whatever. You know, like it's something that allows that level of communication to happen. I think if you can be out there on a person-to-person level on social media with your fans, they're going to feel a lot better about coming to the shows. You know, you don't want to overdo it because then you kind of lose the band mystique or whatever. But I think it's a great communication tool and a great way to get out information for shows.
Yeah. So speaking of like social media, how many pages can people find our Anger's Art on? What websites?
Well, we've got our website hanging around, but if you want the most, it's just, I think, angersart.com. But if you're wanting the most up-to-date stuff, you want to check out our Facebook, and we're pretty friendly guys. Look for us on Facebook, you know? All four of the guys are around. If you're wanting information on the band, if you're wanting to shoot the shit, if you have, like, inquiries about gigs or whatever, hit us up individually or hit us up on the Anger's Art Facebook page. We're happy to talk, you know? And that's probably the best place to find us. We got some stuff on YouTube if you're just looking to hear the music. But if you're wanting to get in contact with us, Facebook is the best way.
Now, how many official videos does the band have up?
For official videos, I believe we've got 3. We've got Time Devour's Life. We've got Unknowing Undead that we just did this past year. And then we've got, from the DVD that the band did before I joined, I think there's a video for Anger is a Gift. And that was back when Angelo was in the band. I think that was when Anger was opening for either Paul Diano or Saxton. I can't recall which right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just watching Unknowing Undead video earlier today. That one, who directed that one?
That is a very good question. I can't pull his name off the top of my head. I know he was a guy where him and his company did primarily like hip hop videos prior to us, and so his approach was a little different as far as we went. But I think he did a good job. There's a lot of shadow in there, which helps me because I got a giant fucking head. So if you get any shadow around there, that'll make it look like my head isn't going to affect the next tide that comes in. But I thought they did a good job. It's a Punisher of a song, and so to have a simple, straight-ahead video where we've got as much darkness as possible, I think that's really going to represent the song well. So I was very happy with it.
That song was written by Steve?
Say again?
That song was written by Steve?
Yeah, musically that was Steve, and then I wrote the lyrics for that one.
Okay, well, you wrote the lyrics. What's the song about then?
Annoying Undead is kind of about people's willingness to accelerate towards their greater failure or their own death, and how much they're willing to trade in for some level of security on the way there. I think that's a fairly common thing. I know I've definitely fallen victim to it at some occasions. But like, it's the idea that as a group, it feels like our society is more than willing to hurl itself towards some inevitable conclusion that will very likely not be a pleasant one, all kind of in the name of convenience. And I think that's a really destructive, cancerous thing that's in the way we live. And so that's what that one kind of covers.
All right, let's spin that one right now.
All right, man.
This is Unknowing Undead by Angry Art. Hope you enjoyed this one, everybody.
Then died in hemisphere.
Okay, we're back live with Eric Bryan, bassist of Anger Is Art. We just listened to Annoying Undead. Hope you fucking enjoyed that fucking thrash tune.
Yeah.
Hope you people are out there like moshing around in the pit, going thrashing. So.
Thrashing around on the drive home or something, you know?
Yeah.
Cars skidding all over the freeway.
Yeah. So what's the scene like out there by you guys?
It sucks. It is. Today I work an outside job, and down in our laydown yard, it was about 104, 105 down there. So it was more of an exercise in trying to not get our boots to melt to the ground, you know.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
How's the music scene out there where you're at?
It's strong, man. You know, I think LA probably from the LA metal scene's real inception is underrated. You know, it's easy to get lost in the big names and then in the hair metal stuff. But the roots under that with bands like, you know, of course, Abattoir, but like Agent Steel, Hyrax. As far as the old guard, you know, you've got like Heretic, Ruthless, Resistance is still flying the flag. Like, you got the sort of older guard there providing the groundwork. And then as far as younger bands, you know, you got Imperialist is really great. Madrost is a good band. This is where I betray the fact that I haven't been doing enough shows lately. There's a good scene, you know, it's varied. I think like any modern scene, you get maybe a little too much of the stoner doom stuff. I don't really go for a lot of that. But overall it's strong. The big black metal scene too, I feel, is coming up. Just waiting for him to get past the sort of like corpse paint and anger level and get back to writing good riffs, you know?
Yeah. So does the Anger Is Art have a pretty good following out there?
Yeah, man, we've got a good out here. We're very lucky to be gigging with a lot of friends in bands too, which helps. You know, we do shows with Resistance often. We're out with Heretic and Ruthless. We'll play with them sometimes. You know, it's a good scene. The guys around here, you know, there's a few guys that are good, honest promoters. The House of Metal in Malone's treats us very, very well. God damn it. The promoter, I'm going to have to dig it up here when we take a break for a song, but the promoter who's putting us up for the Deceased show is a good one. And so, like, when you have good promoters, that helps good bands keep up and not feel so broken down by having to pay $500 to play at 7:30 at the Whiskey, you know? And so, yeah, you know, a lot of the venues that really foster metal seem to be closing down or in a constant state of almost closing down, which is hard. But there's always a few out there you can rely on, and those ones you're going to get really good bills at.
Yeah. Now, what are your top favorite bands out there right now?
Out here, I'd probably put, as far as like a local band, I'd probably put Winter Thrall, Rob's black metal band, pretty high up there. They got a good blend of sort of like mid-90s, like Swedish, Norwegian melodic sense. And then they've got their vocalist, Steve, has got just like that real like ear-piercing screech to him that I think helps a lot. And they've got Janice Tanaka on bass. And Janice is nuts, you know, like she's got incredible feel for a bass player. And so like when they get all together, like they've got a really great, effective sound. Imperialist is one that blew me away the first time I saw them a couple years ago, just because like black thrash is a hard thing to get right, I think. And so when you get a band that does it right, though, it's so fucking effective. And Imperialists do a great job with that. Madrost, I mentioned earlier, they've got like I know Tanner doesn't like when I can try and pinpoint the sound down, but if I had to pigeonhole them, I'd say they sound kind of like the first Pestilence album, like sort of really riffy, but just a little off kilter enough to keep you interested.
Uh-huh.
And then Resistance, man, I fucking love those guys. Like they've been churning out really strong, really great heavy metal for years, and they still deliver live. So great to get out there and play with, or just to put on in the car.
Yeah. So what are your top favorite bands of a lifetime?
Sabbath would be pretty high up there. Sabbath is definitely one of them. I think Martin Walkyier is the genius. I think for as goofy as he got with some of the later Skyclad stuff, he wrote some of the most vicious vocal lines ever. And Andy Sneap, you know, I'm not 100% on board with all the albums he produces, but like the guy's got guitar riffing down to like somewhere between a science and an art. Like the guy's just great. So Sabbath would be pretty high up there. Overkill is always there. Voivod's up there. Frankly speaking, it feels a little weird because we play with them every now and then, but Deceased is way up there. I think they're probably the best U.S. metal band. Like, I think they're the ones who, they take their time, which is good. There's never a forced record with Deceased. So I like them quite a bit. But then, you know, like Candlemass is up there, Fate's Warning, especially the John Arch stuff. Bolt Thrower would be up there. Rune Magic would be up there. Yeah, man, anything that's weird. I like weird stuff. So if you got like a kind of like weirdly angled sense on riff writing, that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to pick out and play over and over again.
So in the next 5 to 10 years, where do you see our Anger's art?
I think we got a couple albums left in us, to say the least. You know, the guys in my band, you know, they're all a little bit older than me, and it's hard for them to get on stage with their canes and stuff. But like, but I think, you know, when you sit in a room with these guys who've been doing this for so long, and see them still be able to pull out these riffs that sort of make you cock your head, make you, you know, when you hear them on record, you want to headbang like to something that you watched the guy write, that you watched him play. That's really exciting. So I think we've got a few albums left in us, to say the very least. And I want to get out there and cover more of the country. You know, we did a pretty good job of covering the West Coast. We've gotten into Arizona, and we've played Vegas. We've been to Wisconsin. You know, we're excited to go back there. But I'd love to see more of, like, the East Coast and hopefully get out of the country a little bit more. You know, I keep hearing these great stories about when Anger went to Europe with Bitch, and I would love to do it, man, you know? I'd love to get out there and see the fans in Europe and to just be there. So I think we're going to get there. It's going to be some time. I know we've got a new album to write. But my hope is that we're going to get out there and we're going to see more of the world and get more of our music to more people.
So do you have any advice for young, upcoming bands out there?
Yeah, save your money. Take your time more than anything. I think that there's a big push to, like, get as much music out as quickly as you can. And I understand that. Like, for a lot of forms of music, that works well. If you're doing, you know, like some form of electronica, if you're doing more of an acoustic by the song, if you're doing like hip-hop maybe, like these things can work in a single basis. But heavy metal is something that I think for a song to properly live needs an album to surround it, you know? And so I think take your time. Don't make it so 3 songs are really good and the others are just all right. Make every fucking song awesome, and then start looking where to put your album out. Don't get so wrapped up in the success part of it. Keep to the craft of it. Because if you can do that, that's how your music's going to be better. That's how people are going to view you as authentic. And that's how you're going to be able to take that as an actual springboard to the next thing, as opposed to just trying to beat the last song, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people say if you're in it for the money, forget it. You got to do it for the love of the music.
Yeah, and also, it doesn't matter how good your band is, don't quit your day job. You know, like, because if you're playing honest-to-God heavy metal, it is a very, very rare thing that you're going to go home with a whole lot in your pocket.
Now, for the 2016 release, how long was the writing process?
I know that I think Steve got writing first. And so he had some of those songs in pocket from a little bit prior, but most of it was pretty fresh, and I want to say we took about 6 to 8 months to get the framework down, and then when we started going to the demo process, we went with our producer, Ron Sandoval, who was a fucking fantastic producer and very patient, which was great, because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Because, you know, I'd done demoing before, but I'd never sat in the studio and recorded like that. So we took, about 6 to 8 months. Dan brought in a few. I brought in a good amount of lyrics, but musically I wrote one song. And then we sat down and we decided how we're going to make this work, you know. I know Steve has been a big proponent of, like, approaching vocals the way Kiss does, and that's that some songs it's going to be me on vocals, some songs it's going to be Steve's, Dan's always going to have parts, Rob's going to be in there yelling too, So we wanted to make sure that we had everything properly placed and made sure that songs were up to snuff. As in, like, if it's something that you'd want to listen to in the band, like if it's something I want to listen to, then that's the song that makes the cut. If it's one that you don't feel is interesting, why bother, you know?
Yeah. Then how long was the recording process?
Our recording was, you know, we're all working, so it was happening a lot on weekends and nights. But I'd say total time, probably about a month, maybe 6 weeks of actual studio time, making sure everything was right.
Now, when you guys go in the studio for the next album, are you going to use the same producer again?
That's the goal, yeah. We were very happy with how Ron's work turned out and how he was with us. His studio is very nice, and so we're hoping to get back in with him and get this next one going and make sure that, you know, you always want to surpass the last record, but trying to make sure that we get it as good as it possibly can be, you know?
So you're looking to get that out 2018?
Yeah, I think that'd be the hope. But like I said, we don't want to rush it either. We want to take our time, make sure that we've got a slab of good songs to give you instead of, you know, 2 or 3 highlights and then a few that you feel like you heard before.
Right. Then I think you said you'd love to get over to Europe and do some shows, right?
Oh, yeah, man. Like, you know, ever since I was a kid, it was like, oh, you know, you hear about the big ones like Bakken and all the other stuff that goes on the big festivals in Europe, but I'd love to just play towns around Europe, you know, play club shows over there, see what it's like, get in the face of people over there. It can't, you know, it's got to be a great experience. There's much more of a, at least it appears to me, a much more of a cultural acceptance of heavy metal, and so it's less of a thing that, you know, you go and do, but you don't talk about at work. You know, it's something you can just go and do, and so I'd love to be a part of that.
So do you guys, like, do you hear from fans in Europe at all, like on social media or anything?
Yeah, it's great, actually. Every now and then, like, I'll get, like, on Facebook or something, like, just a friend request from some guy in Germany. I'd never heard of him, you know, like, he's just some dude. But then we'll get in talking, he's like, oh, you know, I like Anger's art, you guys, you know, come over, you know, I'm in a thrash band too, or something like that. And, like, it's fantastic to see that we have a bond like that just by virtue of putting an album out over here in L.A. It's great.
That's cool. Now, I think I'm out of question. The interview is winding down now. Do you have any final words for all the fans out there?
Oh, man, well, firstly, it was great to be asked to be on the show, man. I know Steve did the one last time, and it was a blast talking with you, and keep it ear to the ground about Anger's art. If you're in the Midwest area, come to Wisconsin. Not just for us, but, like, that Spring Bash is about as packed as you could ask a bill to be. Randy's a hell of a guy and a great supporter of heavy metal. So come out, have a great time, you know, and keep an eye out, because we're going to have some new stuff to send you real soon.
Well, thank you for your time for the interview, Eric.
Of course, Dave. I appreciate it.
All right, no, we'll get you on again in the future.
Sounds like a plan, man.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.